Today, the self-help industry is at an all-time high. Never before in the history of humanity has access to so much information been this easy. Every day there seems like a new book, a new online course, a new seminar promising the world for just 4 easy payments of $9.99. But what would you say if I told you that most of what you know about self-help is wrong? What would you do if I told you that an entire industry has sprung up based upon a fundamentally flawed principle? And what would you do if I told you that motivation is a myth? My name's Jeremy, and this is episode number 2 of In the Trenches, a weekly video series where we break down, dissect, and discuss some of the most potent, powerful, and effective principles from the self-help industry, whether that be from books, videos, seminars, and try to distill those principles down into usable ideas you can actually install into your life and start seeing positive changes today. I grew up in a small country town, got below average grades, didn't perform very well in any type of schooling setting. I got hooked on video games. I rarely studied. I put in very little effort in my life. If you could have seen my younger self, you'd never imagine I'd amount to, well, anything. But deep down, I always felt like I was meant for more. That maybe one day I could escape this small town and live a life of my dreams. But that was just a fantasy at the time. Until one day in grade 11, by some random stroke of luck on a hot Australian day, while cooling off in the nice air conditioning library, I stumbled upon a little purple book. Little did I know that that book would send me down a path of self-help that would alter the entire trajectory of my life. All of a sudden, a whole new world of possibility opened up for me. This book taught me that I could do, be, and have anything I wanted in life, so long as I followed a set of simple principles and applied them to my life, that anything was possible. All of the answers I needed were right here, the entire time. In books just like this one I'd stumbled upon in grade 11 in that air-conditioned library on a hot Australian day. Or so I thought. While this story seems like a happily ever after, what the 16-year-old version of me didn't know at the time was that just because something's in a book doesn't mean it's true. Enter Jeff Haden's book, The Motivation Myth. In this video, we're going to address one of the most pervasive mistakes in the entire self-help subculture, as well as looking at a far more practical methodology to be more productive, realistically accomplish our goals, and to actually get yourself to do the things you know you need to do. So, the fundamental principle in this book is the idea that truly life-changing motivation comes after we've taken action. So before you tap out, listen to this idea because it's going to vastly change the way you look at motivation, self-help, and how you structure your life moving forward. I want to illustrate this principle by asking you a simple question. What motivates you to get motivated? Because we've all had days where we've woken up and simply felt zero motivation. Well, maybe you answer that question by saying, well, I watch a YouTube video when I need to get motivated. On those days where I just don't feel it, yeah, I'll watch a YouTube video, or I'll listen to a book, or I'll meditate, or I'll whatever it is. You will do something to motivate yourself to do the things you need to do. But you've watched this YouTube video now 1,000 times to get motivated. It's just not doing it much anymore. What's going to motivate you to watch that YouTube video to do the things you need to do? Well, you say to me, I'm cultivating the urge to do my very best and to constantly stay motivated in order to give my family the life that they deserve. So you're cultivating and you're working on developing this sense of effort that you need to put in to provide for your family that will motivate you to watch a YouTube video, that will motivate you to do the work you need to do. But as anyone's experienced, it's hard to cultivate things. It's hard to cultivate belief systems, and that's going to take motivation. So what's going to motivate you to cultivate this belief? Well, your answer is that you will daily journal. You'll develop the habit of daily journaling so you can cultivate this belief so that you can motivate yourself to watch a YouTube video, so you can be motivated in order to do your work. This is what's called a motivation trap. It's this series of endlessly putting things in front of our work so that we are motivated and want to actually do our work, to give us the willpower to smash through the resistance we feel to doing our work. But this could be the reason why you spend years being a diligent, self-help, practical, step-taking machine and really accomplished very little. I spent years doing this, where I would have a morning routine that was ridiculously long before I actually got to the important things. But the motivation you're seeking, the drive that you want to cultivate in your life cannot and will never come until you're actually doing the things you know you need to do and building momentum. And that is the main idea presented in the motivation myth. This idea that motivation will come and it will take a hold of your life like you've never experienced before, but only after you've done your work and you've committed to the process. Well, that raises the question, how do I get motivated to do my work? Because I'm not motivated in the least bit. Well, here's my perspective on that question. The reason we don't do the work we know we should do is because of something called resistance. We've all experienced resistance. We know what it feels like. It's like this force of nature, this little evil inner self that resides within us that is constantly deceiving us and tricking us into not doing the things we know we need to do. There's an entire book on this called The War of Art, and it's the topic of the book I'm currently writing. So I'm very familiar with resistance. And one of the main reasons we experience resistance, besides it being this force of nature, which is the idea presented in The War of Art, and in my book, I present it as our own inner enemy. From a more practical standpoint, one of the biggest contributors to experiencing resistance in our life is something called outcome dependence. When we do something solely to generate an outcome, what that does is make the doing of the thing excruciating, because all we're doing is waiting for this thing to be done so that we can experience the outcome. Think about doing your tax, for instance. No one sits there and says, I'm going to enjoy doing my tax. It is excruciating, boring, and dull. Not because the subject matter is excruciating, boring, and dull, it kinda is, but because we are so focused on the outcome. We do our tax as employees so that we can get our tax return, we can get some money back, and we're doing that task solely to get the money back. This is why doing your work, the stuff you know is the most important to achieving results, is simultaneously so hard to get started and so hard to actually do, because you're not doing it because you love it, you're doing it because you want the results that that thing will bring. And that leads us to the solution to outcome dependence, which is positive expectancy. So by changing our belief structure and assuming that once we get started on a task, motivation will come, what we're doing is cultivating something called positive expectancy. And the power of positive expectancy is that when we look forward to doing a task, what we're doing is focusing on the task itself and not the outcome. So in the case of motivation after action, we are expecting that throughout the course of doing our work, eventually we will get motivated. And we do. It's fun, it's easy. The vast majority of the things you know you need to do are only hard until you actually start. And if they are hard even while doing it, once you let go of the result, focus on tapping into the motivation you're feeling, tapping into the enjoyment of actually doing the things you know you need to do in life, you will have a far different experience while completing those tasks. And this leads to an upward spiral. The better you get at cultivating positive expectancy, the easier everything becomes, which means the more motivation you will experience, which means the more success you will have. So begin to cultivate this belief system. So just to quickly recap what we've learned so far, motivation, the type that we actually want in our life, the type that lasts, comes once we've taken a considerable amount of action. The reason we don't just do our work and have been doing that our entire lives is because we feel resistance, and resistance is partially created by something called outcome dependence. And outcome dependence can be defeated by letting go of having to get something and simply focus on enjoying the task and expecting that this task will immediately start to produce positive results. So that's the theory. Let's focus on the practical. All right, so on a broader scale in your life, you're gonna be attempting to cultivate positive expectancy. So forget having to do a list as long as my arm. That's a long arm. Just focus on positive expectancy. The things I know I need to do, I'm going to enjoy, and I know once I get started, they're going to be great. So this isn't about cultivating motivation. All it is cultivating a sense of peace and enjoyment in the tasks that you know you need to do. How do we do that? Do your tasks. Okay, so that's positive expectancy on a broader scale. Now let's sort of focus on a more micro scale. What little things and habits can you develop in your life to really ensure that you start to cultivate this belief system? Because if you're like me, it's gonna take a long time before this becomes truly second nature to you. Firstly, write down your goals. Okay, and by the way, this is the system suggested in the book. My own system is a little bit different, so you take what you want to take from it. I took what I wanted to take from it, but this is the system outlined in the book. You write down your goals. Okay, you've got your goals now. Great. You're now going to create your processes. You're going to backwards engineer step by step how you would achieve those goals on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis over the course of the next couple of years, months, weeks, or days, however long it will take you to accomplish those goals. All you need to figure out is how you're going to actually accomplish them. What habit or what process can you do daily that's going to move you in the direction of those goals? You've done that? Great. Forget the goals. Completely forget them. Don't look at them, don't nothing them. They're gone. The reason we forget our goals is because they require zero focus on a day-to-day basis, or at least as this book describes. I do kind of look at my goals pretty regularly, but the book recommends not to look at your goals and instead focus only and solely on the processes you developed. Those are the things you're going to obsess over. In this book, he likes the term work your number. And that means if you need to do 10 calls a day to achieve your sales quota, sales goal for the year, then work that number, work that process. So how do you know when you're doing this right? Well, firstly, you're going to be moving in the direction of your goals far more rapidly than you probably ever have in your life. With that being, With that being said, this is an outstanding book, a truly unique piece of nonfiction in a plethora of extreme copycat self-help books today. Now, if you'd like to purchase this book, I highly recommend it. There may or may not be a link in the description to purchase it through Audible or Amazon, so you can check that out if you'd like to support the channel. And lastly, this is a brand new YouTube channel. It's going to take a lot of work to get this channel off the ground. So if you did enjoy the content, you found it valuable, you took notes, and you're going to try and implement this into your life, if you could be so kind as to drop a like, maybe drop a comment of the notes that you took, that would be extremely appreciated. And hell, if you want to see the next episode, you can always subscribe as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do not watch the video before this one because it was pure trash, horrible, terrible video. Hopefully this one's significantly better. That being said, my name's Jeremy. Have a great day and I will see you on the next video.